Welcome to First Sun News. This is Argumitra. Where is the India-China rivalry? Where is it playing out? Most people would say on land in the rough Himalayan terrain. And yes, that is the biggest flashpoint. But away from global coverage, China is mounting another challenge in the seas. Chinese vessels are sailing near Indian waters. That too in secret. Let me show you a new report. It was prepared by a French intelligence firm. They tracked around 1,900 ships in the Bay of Bengal. Most of them had their tracking on. Some quick context here. Ships are tracked using the ICE, the Automatic Identification System, ICE. If the ICE is on, a ship can be tracked. But this French report found that 10% of the ships had turned off their ICE, meaning they wanted to remain hidden. They did not want to be tracked. 10% of 1,900 ships. And out of these, one vessel caught the firm's attention. A Chinese vessel, a so-called research vessel. And why did it stand out? Because it was sailing close to Indian military zones. The ship was identified in these 10 locations. All of them are close to India and Sri Lanka. Certainly close enough to snoop. And that's the thing about these so-called research ships. In reality, they are spy vessels. If the tracking was off, how did these guys find the ship using radio frequencies? Every ship emits radio signals. If you study them closely, you can track the ship, which is what this French group did. They found that the Chinese ship had strategic intent. It wasn't doing research. It was doing something more sinister. The French assessment, they think the ship was mapping the seafloor, and more importantly it was identifying submarine corridors, basically finding out the routes used by Indian submarines. And why is this important? If a war breaks out, this information will be crucial. China is digging for it, and it has been doing this for a while now. In recent years, China has sent spy ships to Sri Lanka. India objected to those voyages. So eventually Sri Lanka banned them. Perhaps that explains these secret voyages. Whatever the trigger, this episode raises 3 questions. Number 1, what is China's end goal here? Number 2, what's at stake for India? And number 3, how should India respond? Let's look at the first question first. China's goal is to project power in the Indian Ocean. And this mission has unfolded in parts over the years. First, China deployed warships to the Indian Ocean back in 2008. Then they deployed submarines in 2014, and then they opened their first Indian Ocean outpost in 2017, the one in Djibouti. So this has happened over a period of time over many years. Beijing is also holding more drills in the region. Between 2020 and 2022, the Chinese organized 7 exercises. In 2023, they held 14 exercises, and in 2024, 12 exercises. And don't forget the infrastructure push. China has stakes in multiple Indian Ocean ports like Karachi and Gwadar in Pakistan and Hambantota in Sri Lanka. In fact, this map shows all the ports with Chinese stakes. Look at how expansive their foothold is. The Indian Ocean carries around 80% of China's oil. 80% of Chinese oil goes through here. So, it's a key choke point for Beijing. Plus, if you dominate the Indian Ocean, you can box India in. So, China's goal is twofold: to secure their supplies and to surround India, which brings us to the second question. What's at stake for India? Simply put, a lot. India are a seafaring nation. Indian coastline is more than 11,000 kilometers long. Around 95% of Indian trade is seaborne. And almost all Indian oil comes through the Indian Ocean. So it's not just for China. The Indian Ocean is a choke point for India too, which is why China's research is worrying. India's naval bases are spread across Indian coastline. This year we unveiled a submarine base in Andhra Pradesh. As always, India has to guard these assets not just from attacks but also from surveillance. Which brings us to the last question. How should India respond? Indian sources say this particular incident happened some time back. The Navy was tracking this Chinese ship. They also asked them to turn the tracker on. But since it was outside Indian waters, there was nothing more to do for India. Just keep track of what was going on. And we've done this in the past as well. Consider what happened in August last year. China deployed 3 research ships in the Indian Ocean. Indian Navy said it was tracking all of them. But what about the long run? How do India tackle Chinese ambitions in the Indian Ocean? For starters, India must recognize one thing. India is the dominant power here. This is not the South China Sea. This is the Indian Ocean. So the Indian Navy is better placed than China. Indian job is to retain that primacy. And in that context, two goals are important. The first is obviously building a large naval fleet. Look at the numbers. India has 293 vessels but China has 754. They have more carriers, more destroyers, submarines and frigates. Of course, New Delhi is aware of this. 61 warships and submarines are being constructed in India. 17 more are awaiting approval. This is part of a big naval upgrade. It is expected to cost around $28 billion. And that's the first goal. Close the gap with China. Goal number 2 is political. China is building ports and other infrastructure in Indian Ocean countries like in Kenya, Tanzania, Madagascar, Sri Lanka, the Maldives, and this is crucial for Beijing. They do not have a coastline on the Indian Ocean, so they rely on foreign countries. India must battle this campaign. In 2015, Prime Minister Modi unveiled the Saga initiative. Its goal was pretty simple. Reaffirm India's role as the net security provider in the Indian Ocean, whether it's against piracy or non-state actors or even during natural disasters. As things stand, India does have primacy. China may send warships and submarines to the Indian Ocean, but they haven't sent the bigger carriers yet. That could be a major red line for the Indian government. The key is to ensure that we never come to that. Please monitor this topic closely, as several upcoming developments are expected to emerge soon, along with additional news becoming evident. I will persist in providing you with confirmed and current videos. My aim is always to guarantee that even if there is a slight delay in a video, it will include accurate, verified sources. If you found my video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing to, and sharing it. Feel free to share your honest thoughts in the comments, as I value your feedback.